Good morning and welcome to this edition of Hikerpedia. Now, I've had a few comments over the past few months telling me about things that I've missed out in previous videos, and I'm also aware that I do tend to focus more on the Chinese history of Singapore rather than the other cultures that make up this place. But that's really more to do with the fact that I speak, read and write Mandarin, and the time that I spent in Taiwan more than anything else. Anyway, today I'm going to try and focus more on the other cultures, so I'll be visiting a few Islamic and Malay heritage sites. Also, I'm going to apologize in advance for my dodgy pronunciation. Please feel free to correct me in the comments. To start today, I'm at the former residence of the self-styled King of Bedok, Haji Kahar Abdul Ghani. Now, he arrived in Singapore from Palembang, Indonesia as a young man and did odd jobs for several years before starting his own trading business on Northbridge Road, trading mainly with his brother back home. After around 20 years or so, he had made enough money to go into the property and plantation business, and he built this house in the 1920s. Despite his wealth, Haji Kahar stayed humble, and in his later years he took up a position teaching at his local mosque before his death in 1940. Just 2 years later, however, his family were forced to sell the property by the Japanese after the fall of Singapore, and they lost everything at the end of the war when the Japanese currency became worthless. The house was later purchased by a relative of former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. Now, I'm here at my second point of interest for today, which is this piece of land just off Jalan Sempedan. Now, it's interesting because these yellow structures that you can see in the background are actually Islamic graves, and one of them belongs to the guy who is referred to in the history books as the founder of Kampong Gelam, Tok Lasam. Said to be an Indonesian prince who had escaped from his kingdom when it came under attack from the Dutch, local legend has it that he named this area Si Gelap, from the Malay word gelap, meaning darkness that conceals or the dark one. Apparently because there was a solar eclipse just after he arrived in the area in 1821. Fishermen from Sumatra were the original inhabitants of the village, although it became known as a haven for pirates in later years. Now, I've had a lot of requests from viewers about maps for my rides, and honestly, I do try my best to make a map every time that I do a Brompton ride or a walk, but you know, I'm getting old, so I often forget to turn on my GPS, just like I did this morning. So I just turned it on, but I'm already like an hour into the route. So what I'll do is I'll add the bit that I missed onto the diagram, so the data will not be, I won't put the data on there for the hours and the times and stuff like that, but I'll just put the route map up on screen at the end of this video so you can check it out. Believe me guys, I'm trying my hardest to get a route map for every ride, but sometimes you know how it is. We're human, we make mistakes.
Now another interesting place of rest or cemetery is this one along Siglap Road. It's called Kubur Kassim. It's around 90 years old and it has a really interesting gateway that's a mixture of Mughal and European styles. And this kind of architecture was popular in Malaya in the early 20th century. It was once the main burial site for Muslims in the Siglap area and houses the graves of many prominent members of the local Muslim community. Now, according to online sources, there are also several tombs dedicated to supernatural beings known as Orang Bunian, although I have no idea which ones they are. Orang Bunian are a fascinating part of Malay Islamic culture. If you're interested to find out more, then I'll link to a really interesting article in the description.
The other great thing about Kubur Kassim is the custodian, Simon. He has lived there for many years and is more than willing to show you around and tell you about the individual graves and the history of the site. He is really friendly, extremely talkative and very generous. He offered me fruit juice and a snack. He made my visit a thoroughly enjoyable experience.
Okay, so I've been searching all morning for a quiet place where I could talk to you about my new improved Brompton, and finally I found it here at this park. So yeah, as you can see, I've finally got all the parts that Joseph Kuosac sent me added to my bike. I picked it up at the weekend with the new wheels on. The other parts I added myself, the handlebar, the hinge clamps, the easy wheels. And I have to say, so far I'm really happy with the riding experience. There's something really satisfying about the click of the cassette on high quality wheels. Just makes the ride sound and feel so much smoother. And the part that's made the biggest difference for me so far are the hinge clamps. I mean, just twisting the wheel instead of doing the lever on the original Brompton parts, it's so much faster. It's probably saved me a couple of seconds off my folding time already. And yeah, the easy wheels, they're doing a good job. And yeah, I'm really happy with all the parts that they sent me. So if you're interested in maybe getting some Joseph Kuosac parts for yourself, then I'll put the information in my description, which you can check out down below. And you can always look at their website as well. They have a lot more parts in addition to the ones I've got, so check it out. Now, as you may be able to guess from the background, I'm in Eunos, which is named after Malay pioneer Muhammad Eunos bin Abdullah. Now, he worked at the Master Attendant's Office in Singapore and then as Harbour Master in Muar, Johor, before returning to Singapore and playing a big part in the growth of Malay language newspapers.
for his contribution to the craft, he became known as the father of Malay journalism, and any journalist always has a place in my heart. He was also very active in Malay politics back in the day, and for that reason this whole area is named after him. Now, slightly off topic, but another interesting piece of name-related history is that of Kampong Ubi. After the fall of Singapore in 1942, tapioca became an important staple food, and lots of it was grown in this area. Now, the Malay for tapioca is ubi kayu, hence Kampong Ubi means tapioca village. Now, nowadays Geylang may be famous for a certain kind of nocturnal activity, but the history of this place is also pretty fun. Now, Geylang was established in the 1840s when Malays and Orang Laut were evicted from floating villages in the mouth of the Singapore River, and they relocated in the Kallang Basin area. Now, online sources suggest that the region was first known as Geylang Kelapa, after Kelang, the word for factory, and Kelapa for coconut, because at the time there was huge coconut plantations in this area. A few years later, an Arab family, the Alsagoffs, established the Perseverance estate, and a few years after that they started growing lemongrass, or serai as it's known in Malay. Hence, Geylang Serai comes from the term for lemongrass processing factory. Okay, so I've ditched my bike because quite honestly it's much easier just to walk around these streets than to ride and keep parking your bike and locking it and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm on foot for now. But before we get into any of the history and the background of this place, I'm really hungry. I've been on my feet all day, or on my bike all day, and I'm starving. So I'll take you to a little place I know that does some really good Middle Eastern food. Let's go. Okay guys, so I got my food. I got the pita sandwich, which is absolutely huge, and then I got a side serving of baba ganoush, which is a dip made from eggplant, and then they gave me some complimentary pita chips as well, which is fried pita bread, and I've got two dips. One looks very spicy and one looks creamy. I'm not sure how I'm going to eat all this, but I'm going to give it a go. Really good. I don't feel guilty eating this at all because it's healthy. Let's try a pita chip. I've never had one before. Man overboard.
delicious. Who knew that fried pita bread could be so tasty? And I've been here quite a few times before, although I haven't been for a while, because I really like falafel, and I often make them at home, and which is great because this place also sells pita breads to take out, so you can buy them in packs of 5, and then you can take them home, stick them in the freezer, and do what you will with them. But yeah, as always, that food was delicious, and even though I ate so much, I don't feel guilty at all because it's quite healthy. So yeah, if you're interested in falafel or Middle Eastern kind of food, then you should definitely try this place out. It's one of my favorites. Pizza Bakery. Check it out. Got my pizzas to take home. I'm so full. I think I can just about move enough to walk around Kampong Gelam and talk about the history a bit. So let's go. Kampong Gelam was created when Raffles set aside 56 acres of land for Sultan Hussein Muhammad Shah after he agreed to cede Singapore to the East India Company in 1824. The decision to allocate this land to the Sultan caused a rift between Raffles and the resident of Singapore, William Farquhar, who believed it should have been used as a centre for commerce. The name is thought to have come from the Malay word for the cajeput tree, which was used in boat construction and to make sails and awnings. Many different kinds of people lived here at the time, including Arabs, Javanese, Bugis and Boyanese. There was also a substantial Chinese population. Following its establishment, Muslim immigrants to Singapore were expected to settle here. This led to a number of small ethnic-based kampongs, including Kampong Bugis, Kampong Java and Kampong Malacca, amongst others. The centrepiece of Kampong Gelam, the Sultan Mosque, was constructed in 1924. A palace or istana was also built here for Sultan Abdul Rahman just after Kampong Gelam was established. These days, the site of the istana serves as the Malay Heritage Centre, and it's a great place to come and have a look around if you would like to learn more about this fascinating part of Singapore. Just don't try to film outside their entrance.
Alright, so as you can see in the background, I came to Gotham City to do my outro. Just kidding, it's Parkview Square. Doesn't half remind you of Batman though, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's it today guys. It's been a hot one and a long one. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, although I'm going to enjoy my shower when I get home a little bit more. So that's it for now. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, or consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you'd like to catch my adventures every Saturday morning, then you can always hit that bell. Alright guys, I'm heading back towards the MRT and home now, so take it easy and I'll see you next week. Over and out.